I will do the best. I hope that this 30 minutes will be wonderful for you and for me. So if you will have so many questions, just shout. I came here to talk a little bit about the FM Poland. I think it's not directly connected with the M17, but it's quite a nice concept based on the Swedish software that's called svxlink. So if you heard about the Swedish repeaters network, driven by the tokens, this is another clone of the network that was implemented in Poland. So, my name is Daniel. You can find my call here. My old call sign was the Sugar Papa for Hotel Kilo Charlie, but some time ago we had nice regulation in Poland that we can use also the zeros. That was one of the breaking points to get the zeros. And of course, this is the culture breaker point because the zeros was allocated for the special cosines in Poland. So we have small debates with some old towns that they don't like if somebody is using this zero prefix. So let me try to do this one. So what is on the agenda? So how it works? I will talk a little bit about the components, about the software, about the popularity, so how we get to some kind of hype. I think we are working on some kind of hype, but I think we are quite good level. And what's the plans for the future? So I heard that there's some guys from Sweden about the future plans. Probably you should be quite silent because this one is not the best for the towers. I think that will be some kind of yet another project that will probably bring some kind of a little bit noise on the software agenda. So how it works? I think my idea for this presentation is to talk a little bit about the imperatives, how the software was also connected with our community. Not only just, okay, it's the software, you need to connect the repeater, that will work. So we debated about what the value should bring the FM Poland to the emulators. And we were debating a lot, and I hope I did some good job to distillate all the information. So first of all, we said that we are the hubs, and we will use all the hubs, imperatives, and our way how we are making the QSO as much as we can in this network. So if we are talking about the FM modulation and all the stuff, we are trying to be just yet another propagation wave in the ham radio. So any behavior of the ham should be the same as on the band, so there is no exception. So one of the quite interesting elements is the license verification, because we don't have good digitalized elements, so still we are trying to get the license verification by the humans. And what we also work very closely with some kind of ham habits and the ham tradition is how we organize our talk groups, because we're using the talk groups in some regional splits. So we started from the countries, and we have like zone 1, zone 2, zone 3 based on the ham radio zones, and we are allocating the numbers based on that. So from that perspective, we also love to make the decision, or if there is some kind of question and we don't know how, then usually we are getting back to our ham's tradition, habits, or regulation, or maybe some other elements, how we will do it on the ham band. So that, if that will help, that's good. So we're not trying to digitalize too much society, we are trying to build more like a community. And one of the quite interesting elements is how it is built. So open and free. So the elements of how to join and how to start with the radio, usually you find these two elements. So probably you get some components that are open source or they are house source, so probably not super open source, but you can ask your colleague how you did it, and then you will get some support. And it's free, so if you want to join the network, you just need to fill the form, send the license, and that's all. You don't need to pay it. Of course, we need to pay for the infrastructure, so we accept donation, but nothing else. And what is quite important, we also love to have these two elements at the top. So we love FM modulation. It's kind of that we believe that's one of the best for the voice. You know, if you're in the comfort zone, it's really good. So you have a very good opportunity to hear all the sounds, elements, and there is no digital type of the robotic elements in this modulation, so it's very natural. And what is quite important, we also love to give the item second life. So if you get an old FM transceiver, or you want to build something that you have already on your attic for 5 years, probably you can find it and you can start doing it with the FM Poland. So we are not limited with the bandwidth, and we are not limited with some kind of different modulation, of course, but we are lovers of the FM. So when people talk with the machines or talks with the applications or applications that are not RF, usually somebody will say, okay, it will be good, but I didn't hear this sound, this element that typically are FM. So you'll find a lot of people who love the FM in this community. So where we are, it's mostly we are located in Poland, surprise, and but not only. We have some colleagues that are working in the United States, some of guys in Scandinavia. I think 2 or 3 stations are from the Nordics, not much, but there are some. Of course, we have a strong representation in the UK. So for the UK and for the United States, we also created the national structure in the top groups based on the ham regions. Overall, just for yesterday and this evening, we had 207 nodes working with the FM Poland. Some of the nodes was allocated with the repeaters. So this is the blue one are the repeaters, the green one are the private nodes that we can say that's mostly their hotspots. And we have also the public hotspots that are just the public nodes. And some of the elements, the brown one, are the elements that are no, they have no pre-F. For example, they are just interconnects between the different networks, like M17, you know, Australia, New Zealand, Ecolink link. This is also the All-Star link. We have the group 312, that's the Chicago group of Polish operators. We have also the connection with the FMUK, that's yet another clone of this huge software-based network in UK. Not so popular, but they have also some top groups and channels related with the Polish speakers. So we ask them to join. And this is how it works. We have some also interconnectivity between the FM Germany. They will all plan to connect all the networks with some kind of framework connectivity on the national top groups, but it's not connected yet. So much of these national groups are only connected with the German network. So maybe a few words about the call side. I said that one of the imperatives was to base on ham radio elements. So the call sign is quite a strong orientation in our network, so everything starts with the call sign. So if you jump to our network, you will get the call sign as in the button. So if you want more call signs, you will get the individual suffix like N1, N2, N3, etc. If you would like to build more repeaters, that's probably the suffix that you will get here. So it's HF, UHF, SHF, low HF, low, high, whatever. So there are more elements. We have also a few repeaters that are working with the tetra technology, but we are not putting here elements like, okay, that's a fan, that's a tetra. So we decided to not build some kind of boundaries or build some kind of different elements saying, okay, that's the tetra or something like that. Of course, we have metadata elements that are transported with the node, so every operator can add some elements on the nodes, and we can send this to everybody through the reflector. But we also add some elements of all the dimensions. On the dashboard, you can also find other people who are making a good job for the different Poland. Like this guy is a volunteer, for example, and this guy is, for example, the neighbor. So you can see that, okay, that's the kind of quite a quick feedback from the contributors. I said a little bit about the talk groups, that the talk groups are generally oriented with some kind of regional split, but I think what I should say a little bit, we have something like O2QSA. It is the mechanism when you want to talk and you are just losing your time and you are just going to talk too long. For example, in the national group, you will be migrated to the private talk group with your friends. So if there are 5 nodes talking to each other, after 2 minutes, 3 minutes, depends on the configuration, you will be just migrated. That's a really nice feature if you don't like to use, for example, the email, or you don't want to manipulate with the talk group by yourself. You just want to start with the national group. You want to call, okay, let's call my friend, he's answering, we are debating, there's 2 minutes, bang, we are just on the talk group. This is also good for the repeaters. We doesn't want to allocate all the energy of the repeaters, especially with the 2 or 3% talking each other. So after 2 minutes, they are transferring to yet another room. So this is more or less how it is organized today. So that's one of the view of the talk groups. We are not building the talk groups for some class, for example. If the class is asking for the talk groups, typical answer from the FM Poland is okay, you can build your own repeater. It's not super expensive, it's super nice for the allocating the band. So what we are trying to push is to also to use the bandwidth, not only just build the room where you can just talk, but also allocate the bandwidth, and always use the bandwidth to allocate some rumors on the bandwidth. Maybe somebody will join this conversation. So it's I think good from the perspective that we would like to grow the area of the infrastructure in our countries. How it works is super simple. It's just one reflector. Not many. So every reflector works with the set of the nodes. So every time when we have some kind of connectivity, then the nodes needs to connect from one node to the reflector, and reflector works as just a star architecture. So it's kind of a quite old concept, and I think this and if you have the same situation, you can change your transceiver at home. If you have, for example, or you can change the battery. One point of failure, one point of the communication, but so far we have something like 200 clones. We didn't find the need to change and to scale. I will show you some kind of statistic later. So the typical scenario is, depends on the type of the repeater, type of the device that you want to connect. So we have the no RF nodes or just a smartphone application. There is also the public hotspots, repeaters linked directly to the repeater, and the repeaters linked with the radio link. So this one concept is also quite interesting because sometimes we have the challenge to connect the repeater that is on the high tower. Nobody wants to go there because you need to ask for the security entrance, and that takes half of the year or something. And sometimes it's easier just to build some kind of small hotspot, build some kind of friendly connectivity with small antenna, and you can build in that way also big distribution of the network through the repeaters. Of course, the quality is slightly lower than the direct connection, but it works very well. So, what kind of hardware components you need? It depends upon how you like to build a repeater. You can start with for example, big Motorola's, or you can, if you are just a constructor, maybe that's your way of doing this one, just to put the wires and everything in one box. We have few implementation of this element. The guys, after they started, they said they will never repeat this once again, but they don't want to change it. So it's kind of the mindset that if that's working, then change it. We have also very nice hotspots, size of a few inches, just very small. It's like a box you can put in the car or in the house, wherever. And there are also very popular repeaters based not on the big Motorola's products, but small Motorola's products. So very often you can find, for example, two transceivers working together. So depends what you want. It's easy to start. Probably today I can say that this one is not super needed circuit. So if you want to have the PTT, you can also use the Linux events. So you can just press the button on the keyboard or mouse or any device that will be detected by the Linux environment. And that's simplified a lot because some of the sound cards has, for example, buttons to volume up, volume down, and you can use it just for PTT. Super fun, super easy. I was starting with this, for example. So this is my first kit for FM Poland, and after that I said, "Oh wow, this is so good voice quality. We need to improve this project." So I started working. And this is the different forms of the hotspots. As you remember on the dashboard, it was like maybe one of the third just repeaters, and the rest was allocated with the hotspots. So we have a lot of hotspots, a lot of connectivity. Usually from the community perspective, it works from that perspective that there is a community in the region that wants to have connectivity. They build the hotspot, but they are lacking with some kind of own space, like your own telco. So this is why we are saying to them, let's build a repeater and we will get the your own target group in the FM Poland. Typical construction, that's by me, but you can find many clones on the networks, colleagues from the France, colleagues from the Romania, colleagues from the Germany built only clones, bigger, smaller, wherever. But I think it's a short message that there is not one solution, but there's plenty of the solution working with this. This is yet another way of doing that, and I think this is quite popular some time ago way of the implementation. It's some kind of very cheap HP terminal, very limited for the typical user, but it's good enough for the svxlink, and you just need some kind of element to connect some card with the transceiver. That's yet another implementation of the card that we can connect. It's based on the range 0, and we have all the separation of the elements, audio and the signals. That was one of the projects that we also generated. And there is also the Tetra version. It was driven by the colleagues from the Lublin and svxlink. They were working hard on this concept. And what is changed, I think that one of the elements in the Tetra is different, that we need to connect with the, not only just the signal that is high and low, but we need to connect with the serial port where we can talk with the radio, and that's called a POI interface or something like this. So we also created full separation for that, 1 megabit bandwidth for the separation for the word was implemented. It looks almost the same. And this is the beauty of the svxlink, correct? Correct. So that's the beauty that lives in the svxlink and works with the FM Poland. Typical implementation of the big repeaters. So there is a dedicated box, a lot of things hidden, but works also very well. What's the software behind? Typically, it's based on Linux, and Linux, there's different flavors, but in most cases we use the the dedication for the board. So it is very light implementation, but also you can find Raspberry Pi or Ubuntu or Debian implementation. I know there are a lot of different flavors of the Linux in the market, but I didn't heard that it works good. So this is why I put this guys on the board. Probably it's nothing to be ashamed, Fedora or something like this, but we didn't have a chance to test it. And our focus was on the iPad because it was super nice for the small devices that we are super oriented. So you need the svxlink, that's connectivity software. It has built in a few elements that are important. So as a consumer, you need to have the svxlink server, that's called. But in this package, you will get also the reflector. So if you want to play, you have your own reflector, you can do it. It's easy. Relatively easy, maybe that's a better word. But yeah. So what is also quite interesting is that the svxlink creates a lot of elements that you can control outside of the svxlink. So for example, you can have the events control, and you can say, okay, I want to, for example, play the different message or announcement. So these two elements need to be harmonized in the solution. So not only svxlink is good enough just to start work with the FM Poland, but you would like to also have the control files and the sounds. Of course, you need to build conflict with the audio. This is one of the big debate, I think, with the any analogs. So is it the modulation good enough? And, I will skip this topic, but typically you just need to control the levels. But some of the guys prefer the date modulation, some of the guys prefer just a simple soft modulation. That's I think a huge debate. And of course, if you would like to have some kind of small elements that show, okay, this is the communication, you can get it by the, for example, the Python scripts. Many colleagues build some kind of small solution showing, okay, this is the talker, this is somebody who's talking here, this is the node name, and so on. So if you put together everything, that's quite a headache, because you need to find different libraries, different software, different versions, and so on. So this is why we started on the popularity. We started to thinking, okay, let's give some kind of product for the people that they can just load, download, and just install the hardware. And we started with the dashboard, but was quite interesting topic because many people started asking us to not build only the Polish version, but also enable the version from the different regions. And we had a very big ask from Germany, just to be clear that that lovely PHP and Apache implementation enable a lot of things that we can configure by the click. I think you can find a similar concept with the digital communication. I think it's called P dashboard, something like this. But I think for the svxlink, it was not something that you can just get, so we were just building this. What is quite also interesting, we developed some quite convenient way to switch to the talk groups, because we have the talk groups registry, and if you want to go on the different talk groups, you can just click and go by one click. So it's super convenient. A lot of people love this feature. Just to, if you want to go here and there, have another jump, that's something that is utilized. And we have the ISO. Sorry for this Polish name convention here, but I was just screening our page. But you can find a ready-to-use solution just to take the image and put in the device for the Raspberry Pi, Orange Pi 3. This one is for the Orange Pi 2. And what I can say, that's two elements, the dashboard and the ready-to-use software, was very big popularity driver. So we started here, and we had a lot of positive effects through the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. But if you will combine, for example, the August to August, you will see that still we are in the positive trends. The network is still growing, and what I can say, we have also the strong seasonality. So of course here we will almost cry observing this curve, and why the people are not joining the network, why they are on vacation. They have another priorities. It's just a hobby. Please stop. And you can find that there's also a lot of actions on the winter and the autumn. So when the weather is not the best, usually people use this network to communicate. Maybe they are talking about some environmental elements, or maybe they are talking about the entertainment. Maybe they, I have a feeling that it works like a phone, but it's a handphone that you can connect with anybody. So that's my feeling. And just a few words about the consumption of the CPU. You can find here. It's super low. Still, we are talking about 200 nodes working together. And you can find this green element, which is the bandwidth that we get from the nodes, and this blue one, it is the bundle that we are sending for the reflector. So you can see that the implementation is not super heavy, and what we are doing probably in most cases is just sending the packet. So get the package and replicate and send it to another hundreds of the nodes somewhere. And that's kind of router implementation. So simple as that, working very good. All the elements with the transcoding and decoding goes on the nodes, not on the reflectors. So from that perspective, it's super good for the scalability. And still we are on the one node. And from one perspective, I show you the architecture that is single point of the failure, but another way, we don't have the reason to scale up because we are still on the very low bandwidth and very low of the CPU usage. So 2% of the CPU, it's not much. So probably we should scale down. Really, we are paying just the pennies for the infrastructure. So what's the plan? Guys from Sweden, if you have some coffee, we'll be awesome. Joking. So we think that svxlink should be implemented. So we are happy that we have the svxlink, but it's not the best implementation. For the different reasons, it's very complicated. It's a big package. There is a lot of dependencies. I think this is one of the reasons that we are working so long for the federational protocol, for example. So it's at this moment, there is no simple way to federate the different reflectors. So this is why we started thinking, okay, let's slice the elephants. Let's build the FM suite. FM suite will be the reflector, some kind of simple way of managing the reflector, like a web page or something like this. At this moment, it's quite complicated. Nodes and boards, that's the dashboards for the boards and the nodes. And FM bridge, I think this is the last priority where we are looking for interconnectivity within the different networks. I hope that somebody else will put a lot of effort with this one, because it's putting different protocols working together, sometimes compressing information, sometimes not, but with the federation protocol, we believe that we will be able not only just to send the voice, but also metadata and so on and so on. So that even the talk groups should be replicated. And we have a lot of dilemmas, like what should be local bubble. If we are debating, for example, about the different reflector for the United States and the UK and Poland, what should stay on the local governance, what should go to the global governance. Still, we are debating, but I think this is the idea behind. So you can find more information if you scan this QR code, and I think it's the time when I say thank you for your patience. I know that it's not easy, but if you have some question, we can open this small debate, I think.